Right. Hope you got good sleep last night. How many of you think 7 to 8 hours of sleep is good enough? Many of you. How many of you feel rested after sleeping 7 to 8 hours? Some of you. How many of you still feel tired despite of sleeping 7 to 8 hours? Many of you. Thank you for raising your hand. So here is what's going on. The common belief is that 7 to 8 hours of sleep is good enough. We have heard it from our teachers, from our parents, and online gurus. But if we keep believing this, what could go wrong? We might miss a huge opportunity to live healthier and longer. We sleep that many hours, but do we all feel rested? No. So either we sleep less hours or we don't get good quality of sleep. In either case, we feel that our sleep is not sufficient. We want to sleep more, we want to snooze the alarm, and the quality of sleep is not very good. So here are a few key symptoms of poor quality of sleep, like snoring, waking up frequently in the night, going to bathroom multiple times, and waking up tired in the morning, waking up with headache, and when going to work, feeling sleepy, and at work, needing more and more caffeine to stay awake and get the job done. When coming home, feeling so tired, sitting on the couch and taking nap, not able to engage with family and children. In the night, getting kicked out from the bedroom or forcing the loved one to sleep on the couch or in separate bedroom. These symptoms could be due to underlying sleep disorder, such as sleep apnea, insomnia, hypersomnia, and some other disorders. But the sleep apnea is the most common one to cause those symptoms. Even people with insomnia, most of them, they also have underlying sleep apnea. That's why they are taking so many medications, but their insomnia does not get better. So according to a research published in Lancet in 2019, about 1 billion population is at risk for sleep apnea. According to another meta-analysis published in Sleep and Breathing in 2023, the researcher from the Brazil looked data from all over the world, and they came up with 91 studies, one of mine too, and they showed the prevalence of sleep apnea about 54%. That means every other person in the world is at risk for sleep apnea at some moment of the life. So what is sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is a condition in which our throat muscle collapse and they block the air passage completely or partially, leading to drop in oxygen. So when the oxygen drops, the brain keep getting arousals. As you see on the top, this is a brain waves, and those are in the circles, they are arousals. They are happening because of low oxygen, that sensor is in the middle, and that is showing drop in oxygen. This is a slide that I borrowed from the sleep lab. So if that cycle is going on more than 5 times per hour of sleep, we call it sleep apnea. So sleep apnea causes sleep fragmentation. So when we sleep, we go through different stages of the sleep. Stage N1 and stage N2, that is light sleep. Stage N3, that is deep sleep. And stage REM sleep, that is rapid eye movement. We dream in that state. So this is a graph from my smartwatch. So in the first half of the night, we mostly get deep sleep, that is very important for physical recovery. And the second half of the night, we get REM sleep, that is on the top. So that helps with mental recovery. There are 2 very important functions of deep sleep. Number 1 is deep cleaning of the brain. So when we sleep, we get into deep sleep, and then our brain does cleaning of those toxins. So when we are awake, we accumulate so many toxins like beta amyloid, tau protein, and some other toxins. And these toxins are getting cleaned in the deep sleep. But if someone has sleep problems or intermittent low oxygen, the person is not able to maintain that deep sleep. So this cleaning gets affected. Or someone is sleeping less hours, not getting enough time to get the cleaning job done. So if these proteins keep accumulating in the brain, they can lead to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So if someone is awake for 24-hour period of time, not getting time to sleep, and not getting these proteins cleaned, that person has difficulty focusing at work or doing the job done. They drink more and more caffeine to get the job done. So if someone is drinking too much caffeine or needing too much caffeine, it indicates the poor quality of sleep. So caffeine does not work the way like our deep sleep does. So caffeine works on different receptor, but it does not clean those toxins. So when someone is drinking too much caffeine, it is just like using deodorant and not taking bath. So if someone has a awake period of 24 hours, and if they drive, the driving is equal to drunk driving. They don't get ticket though. The other very important function of deep sleep is secretion of hormones. So there is a pituitary gland inside the brain, and that pituitary gland has a tantrum like a 5-year-old child. That gland asks that if you give me deep sleep, then I will secrete hormones. But if someone has intermittent low oxygen or not able to go into deep sleep, this gland remains in tantrum, not able to secrete those hormones. So there is a study done in 2021, and they published in Andrology. So they found that patients with severe degree of sleep apnea and intermittent very low oxygen, they do have hormone problems too. Now coming to REM sleep, that is a dream state. So we dream in that state and our body is paralyzed. That is very important for memory consolidation and emotional processing. But when we go into deep sleep, REM sleep, the muscle relax, and if someone has sleep apnea, it becomes worse. When it becomes worse, the REM sleep is very choppy and very fragmented. So I remember one of my patients who was diagnosed to have sleep apnea. He was using CPAP machine and data was looking very good. But he was not convinced that this treatment is doing any good for him. So as a doctor, sometimes we run out of the options. But here, the treatment was working, but he was not convinced. So his wife was in the room and she was telling, he's not snoring anymore. He's not tossing and turning too much anymore. I'm able to sleep into the same room, but the guy was not convinced. So I looked at his wrist and there was a smart watch. So I showed him data before the treatment and after the treatment. So before the treatment, his REM sleep was very, very choppy, very tiny. And after the treatment, his REM sleep was consolidated and there was a long REM sleep. Then he got convinced. So men need data to make decision and get convinced. Thanks to his smart wife. So now, this is the same patient I showed you in the beginning. This is the second portion of the night in which he is using CPAP. And now you see on the top, there are no arousals. And on the bottom, on the right side, you see red line that shows his REM sleep is very consolidated. So when we treat sleep apnea, the quality of sleep improves and the oxygen also improves. Thomas Dekker has said that sleep is a golden chain that connects health and body together. So how do we know if this chain is not broken? So in this era of AI and newer technology, this is not hard anymore. I remember one of my other patients who was diagnosed to have sleep apnea a long time ago. He tried CPAP machine that puts air with pressure and keeps the air passage open and controls sleep apnea. But he could not use it at that time. So after many years, after losing health, wealth, and relationship, he was tired, being tired. So he bought a smartwatch. And next morning, he noticed his lowest oxygen dropped to 71%. And 71% oxygen is very low. Sometimes heart can stop. So he cleaned his CPAP machine, he found it, and he used it next night. The next morning, he was very curious to know what is his lowest oxygen. And it improved to 91%. And he also felt rested. So when we treat sleep apnea, oxygen improves and the quality of sleep becomes better. Now you might be wondering what makes the quality of sleep good. So there is another group of researchers from France. They presented a study in European Society of Cardiology Congress in 2022. They looked at 5 parameters of the sleep. So number 1, sleep duration, 7 to 8 hours. Number 2, no sleep apnea. Number 3, no or rare insomnia. Number 4, no daytime sleepiness. And number 5, being a morning person. So they looked at more than 3,000 patients over 10-year of period of time. And if those patients who have all those 5 good criteria compared to those who had only 1 or 0 criteria, so there was a 74% reduction in risk of heart attack and stroke. Over the follow-up period, those patients who improved 1 sleep parameter, there was a 22% reduction in risk of heart attack and stroke. So when I treat patients with sleep apnea, all these 5 parameters get better. Even though the quantity of sleep, 7 to 8 hours, remains the same, but it becomes a quality sleep. So sleep apnea gets treated, insomnia gets better, and daytime sleepiness improves, and they become morning person. There is another study done, and they looked at patients who have sleep apnea and they use CPAP. So those patients who use CPAP more than 4 hours compared to those who use less than 4 hours, so there was a significant reduction in risk of heart attack and stroke. When I was working in ICU, I noticed patients with undiagnosed or untreated sleep apnea ending up with stroke and heart attack. It was too late for them. So as a sleep doctor, my mission is to educate more and more people about this condition many years in advance so that they can check their quality of sleep on time and they seek medical help. In this era of newer treatment options, newer mask, newer CPAP machine, different settings, even implant for sleep apnea, oral appliance for sleep apnea, and there is a excite-OSA therapy, there is a negative pressure device to put into the mouth, and there is a positional device. So treatment of sleep apnea is not hard anymore. In this era of newer innovation, a smart watch, a smart ring, healthcare app, it is not hard to know the quality of sleep. The Cleveland Clinic has developed a healthcare app. If you fill questionnaire on that, it can give you the risk of obstructive sleep apnea, insomnia, shift work disorder, and insufficient sleep. If you combine the data from healthcare app and these wearable devices, you can have fair idea about the quality and quantity of sleep. So in the end, I have 3 calls to action. Number 1, try to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours without distraction. Number 2, try to know your lowest oxygen when you sleep. Number 3, use AI and newer technology to check the quality and quantity of sleep. You can gift these type of devices to your loved one, your teenage children, to check the quality and quantity of sleep. The secret of longevity lies in good quality of sleep. If you fix your sleep, you can add many years in your life and life in your years. Thank you.